Hello, everybody. Knock, knock. Testing, 1, 2, testing. All right, like I said this afternoon, I am going to review a little bit what I did. And it's going to be on the drum pad. And then I'm going to give you some things to do for the up and coming Monday night lesson. We're going to go back to the jazz pattern. Hello, Bob. You have the PDFs? Mr. Bob. All right, we're going to be working with flams, flam paradiddles, patty fla-flas, flam accent, and the Swiss Army triplet. We all should have the PDFs. Now, whoever is watching rather, should be in the chat. Say hello, how are you, boom, boom. Now, Bob, you weren't here this afternoon. Come Monday, my evening lessons at 8:30 are going to be on my site. And that's a paid-for site. So if you want, you can become a member. It's $19.95 per month. Okay? And that gives you 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 lessons. Hey, Paul, you're on time. All right, my man, Paul. Okay, so let me give you my site. Now, just go to the site and you could enroll, and it's renewable every month. And if you don't want to discontinue, how you doing, Ed? We all have the PDFs. I'm sorry about that. I don't know how I missed that. I sent everybody the PDFs. All right, so we're going to kind of review what we did this afternoon. All right, I'm sorry, Bob. I'll tell you what, after the lesson, I will send you some PDFs. I apologize. You got the what? You just the flam tap? Okay. Well, again, we always revert back to the stick control book. And I'm going to explain the flams again. And the flam is just the language kind of gets mixed up. I call it the primary note. Somebody calls it the principal note or the king note. Whatever you want to call it. Okay? But it's just a note. It's a right or a left. Now, a flam is a grace note with the opposite hand from the primary note. Now, a grace note has no value. I could play a flam like this. That's kind of open, and that sucks. So that defeats the purpose. So what you want to do is make that grace note as close as possible to the primary note. So it almost sounds like one, but not just a little thicker. Like so. Now, there's a couple different kind of flams. There's the free stroke flam, the right hand, or the free stroke flam, the left hand, or the alternating flam, or the downstroke flam. We got that. So that's the three kind of flams: the alternating flam, the free stroke flam, and the downstroke flam. Now, being, Bob, that you have the flam taps, all it is an alternating flam in a tap. So let me get to the sheet. The sheet that I presented was in quarter notes, and we'll stay with the quarter notes. Hold on. Hey, Paul, we're going to go back to the jazz thing come Monday night. And I'm going to show you how to do triplet sticking permutated. And I'm going to have about 3 or 4 different ones, okay? So towards the end of the lesson, I'm going to give you a few different exercises to do. You don't need PDF sheets to do that, okay? Now, what we have, again, is the flam tap. You following this, Bob? All right. Now, you see above the flam, it has A, which means alternate. And then the next one is T, which means tap. So I'm starting in this position, and I'm taking it like to ground zero. And it's a downstroke flam, an alternating flam and a tap. That sets myself up, or sets me up, to get onto the other side of me. Downstroke, alternate, tap, alternate, tap, alternate, tap, alternate, tap. Now, what I did with the PDF is the first line I gave in quarter notes. It's simple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I took the next platform to eighth notes. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now the next guy is the 16th note formation. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Now, one reason why I'm kind of revisiting the basic rudiments is because I want to start working from Charlie Wilcoxon's 150 rudimental solos, both in 6/8 and 2/4. We'll make it 4/4 as opposed to 4/2/4, and we're going to swing it. And we're going to take melodies from the syncopation book and apply the rudiments to the melodic line, which we're going to use rudiments because one of my most favorite drummers of all time was Philly Joe Jones. He was the most musical drummer I ever heard. The man smoked, he cooked, he killed it, man. He was a great drummer. God bless him. Okay, now again, back to the flam tap. We did quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. Now how I want to do this, we're going to repeat from, after we get back to the 16th notes, we're going to go back to the quarter notes. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, now eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. I'm doing paradiddle. Excuse me, I did paradiddles. All right, hold on. Again, 1, 2. Pay attention, Matt. 4. 1, 2, 3. Eighth notes. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 16ths. Back to quarter notes. Or better yet, what you want to do, instead of going to the quarter notes, go up the page again. Go from 16ths to eighths to quarters, then down to eighth notes to 16ths, then eighth notes to quarters. Here we go. Watch this. I'll show you. Quarters, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Eighth notes, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 16ths. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Back to quarter notes. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 16ths. Eighth notes. back to quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that completes the flam tap. And that's only a variety of, I mean, I could have done this in 6/8, but I'm not going to do that right now. 6/8 would be, all right, let me do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. Okay, from this point on, the flam tap, are there any questions? What I should have done, and I apologize, all right, I should have just started with the flam development page. And again, I reverted back to the stick control book. When I said that there's the free stroke flam, the alternate flam, and the downstroke flam. This kind of puts it together utilizing the level system. Okay? We all familiar with the level system? Bob, Paul, and whoever else. All these people are watching. Nobody's in the chat. People, get in the chat. Make new friends. Ask some questions or give me a hard time. Okay. What I've done is I presented it in quarter notes, okay, as opposed to eighth notes, because I'm utilizing the stick control book, again, The Brilliance of George Lawrence Stone, okay? So I'm going to give it to you in quarter notes first, then I'm going to show you the eighth notes. So we have the sticking pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what I'm going to do with that is play the sticking right, left, as flams. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The same thing with the second line. And I brought it down to quarter notes again, starting with the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to put a flam on each note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you see, line 3 in quarter notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have now each note is going to be a flam. So you have to be careful here because the first right is going to be a free stroke flam and then an alternating flam, and that puts me back in position. What's the question? No, I'm not going to do the Facebook stream. I have to. I think you need a little cell phone or whatever we call that shit, and you have to take it from there. I'll research it. That might be better too than sometimes on Facebook. Okay, we have that. Now that's going to put. Now I'm going to do it in eighth notes. I'm going to do the first line, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's giving me alternating flams starting with the right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I go to the second line, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm going to start with the left. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The first two lines just alternating the flam. But when you get to the third line, now you got to have a little bit of that level system happening. 1 is going to be a free stroke flam, and it's going to be an alternate flam. Free stroke, alternate. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. I don't want to spend too much time on this particular page, but we do understand it, and it's really a good lesson. I mean, you could do it as we did the stick control book, if we remember, playing the line 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and we use the vamp, and 4 and 2 and 2. So what you can do with that to make it a little bit better, well, different rather, is now instead of just using single strokes, use flams. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again. 2, 3. Vamp. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's just a different kind of exercise, having a little bit fun and taking it to another dimension. So now we did the flam tap, we did the flam exercise. Tell you what, Bob, why don't you email me and tell me which PDF sheets you don't have? Because now we're going to be working right now on the flam paradiddle. And again, what I did with the flam paradiddle is I demonstrated the downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. So if I did just a single paradiddle, right, alternating paradiddle, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, I'm doing a flam in front of the downbeat, or the first note of the paradiddle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Well, that's the object, Bob, you know, for the sticking positions, is to put you in tune to the level system. Okay, so now we go to the second platform of the flam paradiddle, which is in eighth notes. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then to 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and. Now I'm exaggerating the motion so that you can see it. The motion does not change no matter what platform you play. You're going to execute a flam paradiddle. It's downstroke, upstroke, tap, tap. Okay, that's the regular alternating paradiddle. Now if I put a flam in front of it, the motion is still the same. So what I did is I did from quarter notes to eighth notes to 16ths to eighth notes back to quarter notes. Let me play it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 16ths. Back to eighths. Sorry. Back to quarters. Okay, so that takes care of the flam paradiddle. I mean, I have quite a few of these. You know, I have the flam accent, if you want me to go over that. The patty fla fla, the Swiss Army triplet. Would you like me to go on to that, or you want to get a preview of Monday evening's lesson? Your choice, gentlemen. And Bob, don't forget, email me, tell me which ones rather you don't have, and I'll send them to you. Okay. No response, no problem. We're going to work with the jazz pattern. Remember that? Straight ahead. No, ding. Okay, we're not working with, you know, double time or cut time or all that good stuff. Just a simple thing. I'm going to show you eventually how to do this. Think 6/8 or think 6/8 in triplets. Okay, that's the Philly Joe Jones concept. These pop-ups drive me crazy. Okay. All right. Now, I'm taking, like I did it with the funk patterns, I'm taking permutations of the sticking pattern. And I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 different sticking patterns and do all the permutations, like starting on the 1, the and of 1, the duh of 1, then to the 2, and then we're going to develop against the jazz pattern. So what's going to be a good review to get back into that would be go back to the Shafee book, the patterns, time functions, and do the triplets. Okay, both with the snare drum and both with and then with the bass drum. Now, just to get back into the feel of the triplet, okay, what you want to do is just play the jazz time, no bass drum yet, and a hi-hat. Free stroke down, a free stroke down, a free stroke down. So you get that constant sound straight ahead. Then you want to play snare drum, triplets. Then the bass drum. So you want to do one measure with the hand, the left hand, one measure with the bass drum. Just an exercise to get back into the feel. Now, way back, maybe a couple months ago, I did send an exercise to you. You should have the PDF on it. And I gave you one surface and I gave you a drum set application with the triplet from the stick control book. As R would equal 3 rights and L would equal 3 lefts. So if I did it on one surface, it would be line 1, it'd be right, left, right, left. So R is equaling a triplet, L is equaling a triplet, 3 rights, 3 lefts. So if I did line 1, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on and so forth. Now we take that same thing and we do a drum set application and we do a substitution. Instead of using my right hand on the snare drum, we're going to use the bass drum in its place. So if I did line 1, it'd be like this. 1, 2. I did line 2. Left, right, left, left. Line 3. Do we understand that, or you need some further explanation on that? Talk to me, gentlemen. Let me see what you said here. This old age shit sucks. I don't understand the question. Do you always count the faster measures 16ths over the eighths? Well, it's all mathematical, if that's what you mean. If I did quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes, and I started off counting in 16ths, so I'll play it on the hi-hat. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E. Then I go to eighth notes. 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and Are you referring to, Bob, the counting that I'm using, what, for the triplet? Is that what you're referring to? Well, you know, there's a couple different ways to count the triplet. I count a triplet 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or for subdivisional purposes, I would break the triplet up. Instead of 1 and I'd count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now some people count 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, which is not incorrect. I don't like that system. I don't like that method. All right, or 1 ta ta, 2 ta ta. Wherever that comes from, I have no idea. And I don't really, that's to me is a little like being in kindergarten. But that's, first of all, let's talk about counting. I still don't understand the question. I have different measures on each piece. All right, I'll send you a whole lot of PDFs if I can find some of what I'm doing with the triplet. Is that what you're referring to? Number one, you know, there's some instructors out there that they say, well, I don't teach my students how to count. That's obnoxious, and that's ridiculous. Counting is essential. That's the first movement to playing melodically or humming a melody. You have to put a formation. You have to keep a distance between the downbeat if you're in 4. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, like let me do that on the hi-hat. Let me just go to the 16th note formation. I'm counting 16ths. I can count quarter notes in 16ths. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3. Now, 8th note, 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2, 3, 16ths. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 2, 3. Back to quarter notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 8ths. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 16. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4. So counting is essential. There is no doubt about it. I mean, if you get into the Gary Chester new breed, if it's brand new to you, you're going to need to count it first, then hum it. And that's when I play, I hum all the time. Absolutely. It's not a faster measure. The downbeat's the same. I'm counting 16th notes. I could play quarter notes, 8th notes, and 16th notes at the same tempo. 1 E and 2 E and. Let me just play a quarter note, 2 8th notes, and 16th notes. 1 E and 2 and. The downbeat remains the same. That's the tempo. 1, 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. 1 E and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. I hope that helps. I'm not certain about the question. That's the problem, Bob. Your point is you're counting the 16th notes, the faster measure. Yeah, well, 16ths. First of all, let's go back to math and fractions. Okay, let's go back to the math. If I'm playing quarter notes, well, okay, first off, the time signature, 4/4. There's 4 beats to a measure. So if it's telling me 4 quarter notes, I can count that in 16th notes, but only play the quarter note. If it's telling me 8 8th notes, then I can, 2 8th notes equal 1 quarter, but I still can play I can count 16th notes to maintain the distance because the more notes that I'm playing are the 16ths, and that keeps me even. Okay, so I have, let me do it with my hands this time. 1E and 2E and 3E and the 8th notes. 1E and 2E and, not a faster measure, 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and, when I get to the faster measure, it's not a faster measure, there's more notes in the measure. So I hit the quarter note, remains the same. So that means if I'm playing a run of 16th notes, I have to get 4 notes equal to the quarter note. Now, a good exercise for you, Mr. Bob, would be the table of time from Joe Morello, the master studies. Quarter notes, quarter note triplets, eighth notes, eighth note triplets and 16ths, groupings of 5 and 6. Let me demonstrate that. 1, I'm going to play 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, eighth notes. Back to quarter note triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and eighth notes. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 6 triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 16ths. Groupings of 5. 6. Now I go on to 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. But that's not necessary at the moment. I hope I am well, you're not getting it then if you ask that question, Bob. Bob, do you have Skype? If you have Skype, get on Skype after the lesson and we'll talk on Skype. Here's my Skype contact. Hey, what's with the capital letters? Hey. If you have Skype, get on that and we'll talk face to face. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to have to call it a night. But now remember, all right, that's a good one. The more you focus on, absolutely. Anyway, is there any questions on the lesson tonight? Email me, Bob. I'll send you the remainder of the PDFs. Now remember, Monday still on this channel, but 1 p.m. 8:30 will be on my site. Remember, it's a paid-for site. It's not going to be open for the public unless you're a member. Okay, so I am moving. I have to call it a night now. It's been like almost 40 minutes for a lesson here, and I don't have too much more time. But anyway, if there's no questions, I'm going to close it down until Monday, 1 p.m. So if you have any questions, shoot. If not, good night, gentlemen. Practice. Ed, Paul, Bob, and whoever is listening or watching, have a good night. Hey, Paul, I'm really happy that you were on time tonight. That's a good sign. Okay, so no questions, no problems. We'll see everybody Monday, 1 p.m. Okay, gentlemen.